All right, so we are styling elements with CSS. And our question of the day is, how can we style the images and layouts of our pages? So sample websites, click the websites below to discover some new types of styling for your pages. So let's take a look at them. Here's one. And on this one, it's called Great Speeches. So it says, hey, friends, when I'm feeling down. So what's new in this one that we haven't seen before? Well, one thing is that they have like a colored background, which is kind of cool. They also have text to the right of the images, and there's like a border over there. So you can kind of say, if we were to do the inspector, you can kind of see where all of that is, right? Like the code that matches up with it. So that's kind of new. And this website looks a lot more professional because of it. So there's one thing. If we go to this one, this is called Help Save the Bees. So as the other one, it's like a list of his favorite speeches. This seems like it's more like a call to action about how important this is. So you'll notice a couple things. First of all, if they do cite the image over here, we have the black background color. We have this really cool border around here. Of course, it's yellow, so the black and yellow makes a lot of sense right here. So that's a cool looking website, definitely better than the simple ones we were looking at before. And here's the last one. It just gives information about something that they're particularly interested in, which is zebroids, which are like a horse mixed with zebra. And then they actually matched a bunch of pictures together here. Now I'm curious, if we put on the inspector, did he do that? Or no, it's probably already custom image right there that he put together, but he did round the edges over here. That's interesting and different. And then we have the different types down over here, which is pretty cool. So a couple different things. The icon means this level is part of a larger project. Changes will be saved across the levels. Cool. So it says, look through web page below for new styles. Open the style sheet. So we can look through here. What are some of the new styles? Looks like over here, we have the image source. We have the alternate, like what it's called and everything. So nothing looks too different over here, but let's look at the style.css. All right, so there's definitely certain things over here. We have the image, right? And it says that for the image, it is floating left. So that means it's on the left side over here. That's definitely something new. We have the width, the margin, the color, the style, the radius. This is all some new stuff over here. So open up the style sheet. We're doing that. The CSS code that you are making the page appear different. What makes the entire page blue? That's interesting. Well, it says right over here, background color. This is probably what's making it blue. So you could change that if you wanted to. So can I change it? Can I make it a darker blue? Oh yeah, I can shift this and it'll turn up on that to make it look different. So that's kind of cool. Make it down over here, make it more of a yellowish, greenish color. We're done here. We can click on finish. All right, it says find the code in the style sheet that is making the background of the entire page light blue. Change the code to make it a different color. Try to change the background color of just the paragraphs. Well, we already played around with it and changed the background over here. So now it's time to find out, how can we change the background color of just the paragraphs? So we're looking for just the paragraphs. We should probably go over here to the style sheet. And then we should look for where it says paragraphs over here. Now, this part is highlighted. How can I change the color of just that? Well, I can probably add in color and then make it, I don't know, aqua? Well, that's how I make the color aqua. Can I change that to background? Background color. Now that made the whole background there, and then it looks a little bit different than we had it before. So I can, of course, make it something else if I like a better color scheme to that. So if I wanted to mix the dark green with dark salmon, would that look good? That's a little weird. So I can keep playing around with that until I find something that kind of fits a little bit better. Maybe like a nice little yellowish color right there. All right, so now it says for the next element, number 4, find the body rule set in the style sheet. So we're going to look for the style sheet. We are going to find the body one right here. And what will happen if we add things like text align, color, other text properties to the body rule set? So let's try it out. So we type in text align, and now we can try something that makes it go to the right. Ah, look at that. That's cool. So we moved it to the right. We can go down here to color, and we can add in a certain color. Maybe I copy and paste this into there, and I can make it a certain color. Ooh, but it did not make it the color. And in fact, it no longer is to the right. So what did I do here that made a mistake? Do you see how this has the semicolon at the end, but this does not? If I add that in there, it then made it go to the right. Now, why did this disappear? Well, I have to change the color because right now it blends into the same thing as the background. So I can change it to something like that. And now all of a sudden we have all of the color right there. So just a couple ways you can play around with it. You can do a bunch of other things. For example, you can change the font family. You can go to the font size property too, and just play around with it a little bit right there. Float, look at the float property inside of your image rule set. So we can go to style to double check that and discuss your partner what you think the property does. Change the value from left to right. So let's take a look at that. We'll go to style. We'll go down to float, and it says float left, but can I change that to right? Ah, so now they just moved it on the right side right over there. Can I make it center? No, that one did not work, but that's okay. We can still keep it as to the right side, and then all of the words are on the left over there. Pretty cool. Find the property in the style sheet that controls the width of the images. Change the width of the images to be larger or smaller. Create a new rule with the height property to control the height of the images. Use the width property in the P rule set to change the width of your paragraphs. A lot of stuff here. Let's try to go through it. How does the code work? If we go through here, this is the code that's making it its current size. So we can go to style. We can look for the image. And right now we have the width as 250px. So we can either make it larger or smaller. So if we want to, we can make it 350px. So that's kind of cool. It says create a new rule with the height property to control the height of the images. So that means we can come down here, we can do height, and we can make that, we can make it auto, or we can put in something custom. So maybe put px there. Now that distorts it. You see how it's like not perfect the way we may want it. So I can change it to make it 200. And that looks a little bit more normal right now. So if I know that that's the right thing over here, it looks a little bit, not perfect, but that's okay. It looks interesting right here. So I think I can deal with that. So we have the height in here. Use the width property in the P rule set. So let's go over here to the P rule set. And can we do a width one right over here? So we'll do width. Change the width of our paragraphs. So we can do auto. But if I want to, I can make it custom. I can make it like. So now that I know that that's what 100 looks like, what happens if I make it 200? Not bad. It's going over a little bit into that one. So maybe I make it 180. And that seems to be a nice sweet spot over here where it's not kind of going into the other one. So interesting. Guess and check a little bit will help you here. Okay, so we can debug some images, find out why they're not the correct height, and debug this page. Let's check it out. All images are supposed to be 100 pixels high, but the height property isn't working. Find the bug. So, of course, we have to go down to the style to figure out why. We'll go over here to image, height. It says 100, but I think what they want to do is px. Aha. Now it seems to be that everything has the right and the correct height on all of them. This is like a fun little game that they have right here set up. Feel free to go through all of these. It's good practice. So now that you've seen some different ways to style, it's time to try it out for yourself. Here's a web page you've seen before, but it needs some style. Give the web page a background color. Make all the images go to the right of the page. Make all the text a different color. Add any other style that you want. So now what you could always do is you could always go back to a previous one and kind of steal some code from it. So if you need to, you can go back over here and you can see what are the things that you actually need there. It's totally fine to do that. So I can go to the style sheet. I can copy all of this if I would like to. And then I can go over here to the one that we're currently on. Okay, so we can delete all the things that we don't want. So we give the page a background color. So the background color right over here, we can change this to be maybe a darker green. That's kind of cool looking. Make all the images go to the right of the screen. So we can do image, and we can make this go to the right, float to the right. We can delete a lot of the other things that we don't want over there. So for example, all of these make all the text a different color. So we can make the text different color here. Keep in mind, none of this stuff is important. We can get rid of that. And then feel free to change it if it doesn't really make sense so much anymore. So a couple little changes I'm doing to fix up the page. Still not perfect, but you know, it's getting better. Oh boy. That looks cool. All right. So we got some interesting things that we fixed up on this one. You can always change it up if you'd like to, but we definitely made some changes to it for sure. And now we have some extra code that we can do. Create borders. That's one thing that we can do. This is just the first one. Find the rules in the style sheet that set image, borders, color, and width. Change the color and width of your borders. So we go to style. We can go to border color is this. We can change that to be more like a blue. Border style. We can make that dotted. Cool looking. And then we can add the same thing if we would like to for something like, oh, I don't know, the heading over here. So if we have the heading, we can make a little border around that too. All right, and now we're stylizing our page to be a little bit more individualistic.